So, you know, the only real thing that we can do is really just keep on practicing. So we just have to keep on practicing how we are going to deliver, you know, these talks. And, you know, it's really difficult because you know that you have this sort of feeling, you know, you feel that you're able to, you feel that there is something important in whatever it is that you're doing. The difficult part is being able to articulate it. So I can feel it in my head, you know, it feels that I came up with something, but when it comes to actually trying to make use of it, you know, then suddenly it isn't there anymore. And so yeah, I guess that is one of the things that one should be looking out for, that you know your feelings and your performance doesn't always, you know, correlate with each other. So it doesn't mean that just because, you know, you feel like you have something, or you feel like you have something that is going to work, it doesn't mean that it will. Which is why it is really important that, you know, you practice, because with practice you are able to actually see, you know, whether the things that you have, the ideas that you have right now will work or will it not. And so yeah, I guess that was point number one. You know, if I were just to reiterate that again, it would be that just because, you know, you're able to feel something great, it doesn't mean that you will be able to perform something great. Which is why it is really important to keep on practicing, you know, practice, practice, practice. And proceeding to a different point is how, you know, the importance of this daily videos. So, you know, there are times where I feel like I'm becoming worse. So, well, are we becoming worse? I think that we aren't really becoming worse, you know. What you are becoming is who you have always been. So, you are who you have always been. It's just that you don't perform a lot, so you don't see yourself, you know, just how bad you really are. So if I am this bad right now, you know, it means that it is who I have always been. It's just that, you know, I wasn't able to discover it. I wasn't able to realize it because I didn't perform all that much. So I am who I've always been, you know, parts of me that believe that, you know, I wish that I could bring back my old self, or I wish that, you know, I was better. You know, I was never really good, you know, at anything. So right now, we are who we have always been. And this is really the truth. So, which is why it is really important to practice and do your best on these practices, because it is through this, you know, deliberate practices that we really see, you know, what kind of person we are and what we are capable of. And so, while it is shameful that, you know, for my age, this is the best that I can come up with, and this is, you know, this is the extent of my abilities. Well, it is shameful, you know, I have this hope that while this is the best we can do right now, we can get better, you know, maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years later. But it all starts from here. So it is really a shame that it is really a shame that this is, you know, the distance that we have come through all these years. This is the only distance that we have traversed. And I wish that we could have traversed further. But if you haven't planted, with that saying, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best is now. And so this is essentially what we are doing because we haven't planted, the seeds early on. Then we're going to start planting now, and hopefully, 20 years, maybe not 20 years, 2 to 3 years, it's not something that we are going to regret. But I guess that it is also important to address the question about what are we really exercising from this activity. So what exactly do we hope to gain from these, daily lessons that I am trying to give myself? So with these daily lessons, are these, you know, are these videos really going to help me 2 to 3 years later? So it's important to note that, we aren't really hoping that we will be paid on this endeavor. We aren't hoping that we are going to be paid from whatever it is that we are doing right now. Whatever it is that we are hoping for is that what we are hoping for is, to improve our skills. A question would be, what skills would that be? So, what is the point of having skills that you yourself are? What is the point of having skills that will not be of use to society? Because as I've said, to be paid is a hallmark that you are useful to society. And if you aren't getting paid at what you are doing, then is that, wouldn't that be a good reason to find a different direction in life? Well, for me, the reason why I am forcing myself, you know, towards this direction is because, for me, it has just always been the, most convenient way. It is the most easy way to find joy in my life. So any other way, I don't think that's something that I would particularly enjoy. So recording something and then coming up with a method in order to, be able to say amazing things, to be able to come up with, you know, things that people care about. I think that that is something that, I really enjoy. And so, yeah, this is the reason why we are forcing ourselves towards this endeavor instead of trying to pursue a sort of, well, there's no other word for it, a proper job. But, I think that through practicing these, there are also skills that you can use, in any job. One such example would be, trying to practice how to communicate with other people. Because essentially, this is what it is, right? What this is that we are trying to make is just like having a conversation with, you know, a person. Well, as of now, it isn't really that amazing. It isn't really that, effective yet. So it isn't effective yet, but, you know, I recall myself, I practiced trying to communicate with strangers. And, you know, upon reflection of that, time, it took me about 6 months to be able to essentially develop a framework that would allow me to, you know, a basic framework that allows me to, extend my conversations with other people. And I reckon, I mean, let's continue that story from before. And after I discovered that, it was on year 2023. So that was 3 years ago. And that has been my framework ever since. So that framework has been with me for 3 years now, and there's not a day in my life that I didn't try to improve that. So the reason why I am venturing here, on the internet right now is because, you know, I feel that I have outgrown, one-on-one conversations. I feel that I am able to communicate easily with any other person. The next stage would be whether it works on a larger audience, whether it works not only on one conversations, but conversations with people around the world. And so that is why I am trying to apply it here. And one of the challenges with whatever it is that I am doing is that, unlike one-on-one conversations, you really have to hook people on a certain topic. So you have to make a topic that is interesting for other people so that they'll ride on whatever it is that you're making. With one-on-one conversations, it is more private, it is more, discreet, it's more secure. I mean, think of text messages, the only people that know about the conversation would be me and the person that I am communicating with. With with this activity that I am doing, the entire world would be, observing whatever it is that I am doing. And if that is the case, then, you know, it's a different dynamic altogether. And that is what I am trying to crack. I'm trying to figure out, you know, how to crack that puzzle. And I reckon that if I figure it out, then it would be a great achievement because I would be able to, well, for a lack of a better word, influence the world in order to help me. At least that is idea because essentially what we are working here is to be able to produce, a universal method for communication in order to get whatever it is that you want. So, people just talk about the law of attraction and all of that stuff. Well, that is one way to look at it. The concept is a lot like the law of attraction, but compared to the law of attraction, whatever it is that I am trying to develop is an actual method, there is an actual framework compared to just believing in the law of attraction. So people don't really share the framework, people just believe in it and then it comes naturally and people don't really understand how it works. But what we are trying to do is to really flesh out the framework so that, you know, if people try to study it, then everyone would be able to learn it. But that is just my declaration. It's not really, that important. So anyways, yeah, I guess